Natalie, I know you got strong opinions on this. Breanna Stewart wins it. She's a former MVP. A'ja Wilson has an MVP. Now Breanna gets it. A'ja won it last year. Your thoughts on how the voters got this whole thing together?
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, I just want to say, like, I think all year it's kind of been the story that it's these three. It was really a contest between A'ja and Stewie, and Alyssa inserted herself in, rightfully so. And I personally do think that A'ja would have
Oh, my
had
bad,
my vote.
Alyssa. Sorry, Alyssa
Yeah,
Thomas. I'm sorry.
Alyssa. Yeah, Alyssa.
Yeah.
A'ja would have had my vote, and Alyssa Thomas would have been second for me. And I would have had Breanna third. I do think this is a snub. I don't think it's an egregious snub, but I do think it's a snub. And I like, look, you know, there's a lot of conversation right now going on, and there's so much to unpack. But what I will say is I feel like some of the same reasons that were used to justify Breanna winning, and congratulations to Breanna. We all know Stewie's great, and she had an amazing season. So I'm not trying to knock her season. But a lot of the things that were used to uplift Breanna's case were held against A'ja. And I don't think that's fair, right? You could argue that the Liberty is a deeper team. You could argue that they are a more stacked team. They're both considered super teams, yet that seemed to go against A'ja and did not go against Breanna Stewart. A'ja lost Candace Parker after 18 games. Her stats, She won MVP last year. This would have been a third-time MVP for her. All of her stats went up in every major category, all right? And she was the MVP last year. Yet somehow this year, she's being penalized for a super team that she didn't have when Breanna also sits on a super team. In terms of minutes played, when you compare her against Alyssa and when you compare her against Breanna, she got her numbers doing it much more efficiently in much less minutes. So that's why I think it's a snub. And then just really quickly about Alyssa Thomas, the reason I'd argue, because it all depends on what your definition of MVP is, right? That's what this comes down to. And A'ja, to me, is the best player, most dominant player on the best team in the WNBA. When you look at a player like Alyssa, if you want to talk about value, if you want to talk about what your team is without you, right? Like, she couldn't not see the floor, or it just went like, it just was not good for the Sun without her, you know? So she also did so many historic things this year. It's very similar for people who maybe don't follow the W. If you think about Russell Westbrook and his triple-double season, she's the triple-double queen. She's the all-time triple-double leader for the WNBA. She was a couple of assists shy of averaging a triple-double for the WNBA. Historic season, and her team is nothing without her. Also value. I just think that they had stronger, more compelling case based on stats and narratives. So in my opinion, a snub, but that's the way it went down.
And you know what, Reeta? It's such a snub that I didn't even call her by her right name. I'm
You're
guilty.
right. I'm
like, it's awful. But yeah, I think, but you know what I wanted to see last night, Reeta and Natalie, I wanted to see what would happen just for the drama. Because they won that first game in New York. I said, okay, last night they're leading at halftime. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
Look at the Sun. Gonna make this interesting. It was a close game, and now it's 1-1, and now the best of 5 series has become a best of 3 series. I wanted to see what would happen if the Liberty went down zip 2. That's when the real good stuff. But I already think it's going to be extremely competitive. I got this series going to 5 games. I wonder what you guys think about that. You know, Sun, Liberty, how do you see the series playing out?
Nat, you first. I'll let you speak first. And
me?
I'll follow. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think, look, I think the Liberty are probably going to win it. They're the better team, but I think it's very advantageous that the Sun went up on them. All they got to do is hold home court. And even though they didn't win any games versus the Liberty during the season, I just want to point out that in one of those games, the Sun were up 20 and they kind of just took their foot off the gas. So I think when you combine that with them going home, and you combine that with Alyssa Thomas feeling slighted and her team feeling slighted that she didn't win MVP, it has the markings for an upset. And that would be the same thing that the Sun did last season when they upset the Sky and they went on to play the Aces, and we could be setting up for like a rematch. So That's my thoughts on it.
I think my thing is that yes, I do think that feeling snubbed does give you some type of superpower that just kind of puts you in a different drive that maybe you didn't even know that you had. So that's definitely something to watch out for. But at the end of the day, do you still have the horses compared to the Liberty? And I think that that's my bigger concern here. So I do think that you know when it's a huge motivator in that regard, because as far as I'm concerned, if a person gets more first place votes, they should win. I think that the voting system is very flawed and it needs to be discussed. That being said, I still don't know if they're deep enough to compare in terms of what the Liberty have, and that's why I think it might be the end for them. But I can never count somebody who feels like that they deserve something out, like never, because I think that sometimes it puts you in a position to really reach a level that you didn't even know that you had in you, and that could very well be possible with Alyssa Thomas.
Let me sneak in one more topic. I'm gonna sneak in one more topic. 90 seconds on this. We got 90 seconds, and I'm only sneaking it in, Natalie, because you know it was in our group chat last night. And then we see a story today about Deion Sanders, and we already knew this, but it's just interesting to see the story on it. And it's just very simple. That Deion Sanders, hey, he's a phenomenon in Colorado. Everybody's wearing Colorado Buffalo sweatshirts and swag. Michael Smith talked about it. His wife went to Colorado and brought back sweatshirts for the whole family. People who have no connection to this school has fewer than 2% black student body. It's Black America's school, and Deion Sanders is Black America's coach. Natalie, are you surprised that it's gotten to this point, especially given the controversy? Some people were really angry when Deion left Jackson State. Are you surprised that Deion's next destination, he has pulled along some of his NFL fans, he has pulled along some of his HBCU fans, celebrities, and new fans? Are you surprised that we're at this point?
Not at all. And come on, Michael, Holley, and Reeta, you know, Black people are a very forgiving people, and we always root for each other. If they can forgive in D.C. Marion Barry, was that his name? Remember that mayor? For his misgiving?
He did was a little bit of drugs. He did was a little bit of drugs. I mean, come on.
You know, you know.
Same thing.
If you know, you know.
A little bit of drugs.
Oh, that's the win. Marion Barry for the win, Natalie.
So we're not going to hold this against Deion. Like Issa Rae once famously said, we are rooting for everybody Black, and we are rooting for Deion. So this does not surprise me.
Reeta, final word on this.
This is just about Deion. This is not just a Black thing. White people love Deion Sanders too. If we were rooting for everybody Black, we'd be rooting for all the other head college football coaches. So I'd just rather people just be honest and say that they're rooting for Deion Sanders. This is not about Black or white, because there's other Black coaches in college football.
I'm rooting for them too, though, Reeta.
You don't even know who they are. Stop.
I'm still rooting for them.
Crime.
I'm rooting for them too.
Okay.
Yeah. So Reeta's like receipts. Name them then.
Right. Name them.
Casual.
We tried to name them last week. We couldn't even name all of them. Thank you, Matt.
I am a casual.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.